Pacecast. I'm Anita Pace and thank you for joining us. My guest today has spent most of her career in the education sector, for which she's been honoured not only once, but twice. She received an MBE in 2020 and then just this year, the CBE. I'm delighted to say that my guest today is the Principal and Chief Executive of Hull College, Debra Gray. Good morning and welcome to the Pacecast.
Good morning. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. As with all our guests, we've asked you to bring in something that's special to you. So I don't know what you've brought in, but I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. So please share.
Let me show you what I have. It's actually three things. So these are things from my children that have been in every office that I've worked in for like the last 20 years. So these, I have got three children who are 25, 21 and 16 now. But these were all done when they were much younger. Yeah. If their artistic abilities were like this now, I'd have something to say. But they're things that they gave me to put up in my office when they were very, very small, which helps me know why I go to work. It helps me ground myself sometimes when the day is very long and very difficult. And I love the messages. You know, the glitter on this is kind of very faded now. So this is the oldest one. I think my oldest is 25. So, right. You know, these have got some country miles on them. But they've been up in every single office that I've ever had.
And can you remember how old they were, the children, when they did them, roughly?
I want to say maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, cute.
And yeah, for the last one, for Jen, the little love heart she sent me, this was on her first day of school. So if I'll just read it to you. It says, "Hi Mum, love you, can't wait for my first day, from Jen."
Oh.
And the one that I've had the longest says, "Mummy, sweet as honey, busy as a bee, buzzing off to earn some money, buzzing home to me." So it's the kind of thing that keeps you going on long days.
Yeah. And you've had quite a few office walls to put them on, which we'll
I've
find
had several,
out about.
yes.
Yeah, so we'll hear all about that, which I'm looking forward to. But let's dial it right back to the beginning. So talk about your childhood and where you grew up.
So I'm a Sheffield girl, very, very proud to be from South Yorkshire. And I grew up in Abbeydale and Arbourthorne. And I'm from a Sheffield council estate. I'm the product of a single parent family. And my mum didn't work. My dad was a very much an absent father and an alcoholic. So it was a very unsettled childhood. It was characterised really by domestic violence, by frequent house moves, frequent school changes.
Did you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger sister and a younger brother, so I'm the oldest of 3. And Mum did everything she possibly could to make sure we were as protected as we could, as stable as we could. But there weren't a lot of resources for women in the 70s and early 80s who needed to flee abusive relationships. And she survived with us the best she could. And then when we were moving around and moving schools, it was actually quite destabilising. But I think on top of that, there was absolute grinding poverty. We really had nothing. We didn't get our first telly till maybe I was like 8 or 9. It was madness. It was madness having a telly for the first time. We thought we were just the business. The fact that everybody else had had them for like 20 years was crazy. So I remember genuinely in the 70s, like we would huddle around a little 1-bar electric fire in a really damp 2 up, 2 down with an outside toilet.
Really?
Seriously.
Yeah.
But I look back on it in some respects with real fondness, because when all you have is each other, the bonds are just unbreakable. And
I guess you didn't know any different.
We didn't, and in a lot of the areas we lived in, everybody's family was like that. You really didn't know. It wasn't until I kind of got a little bit older and I started to go to some of my friends' houses, and it perhaps didn't look quite like mine.
Yeah.
And my Auntie Doreen, who is approaching her 80th birthday this year and is an absolute matriarch and queen in my family, she did have a more stable home life. And so when I went to visit Auntie Doreen...
Was this your mum's sister?
Mum's big sister. And Auntie Doreen had things like cereal in the cupboards, and Auntie Doreen used to also work for Avon. You remember Avon used to do deliveries back in the day? Exactly.
Ding dong.
Exactly. She was an Avon lady, and she would have the most amazing kind of pots of stuff,
Yeah.
like in reds and blues
Cosmetics.
and golds. And I'd never seen anything like it because, of course, we couldn't afford anything like that. So, props to my Auntie Doreen because she showed me also there were other ways to live.
Yeah. And were you close to your brother and sister then as a result of the circumstances? Your father not being around?
Very much so, I think. Shared trauma helps bond.
Yeah.
It's not always the way you'd want to bond, but it certainly does help. And we're all very close now. So we all live within, maybe 5 miles of each other, speak regularly every week. And being the oldest, I did and still do feel a great sense of responsibility. Yeah. And my younger sister's now knocking on the door of 50 and my brother's like 45, 46. So it's not like any of us are children anymore. We still go out, we eat together, we try and get together when we can.
And what about, so you've talked about the fact that you had to move around and change schools frequently. Was school, was it a happy time? Was it a difficult time? What were you like as a student?
I think I was really quiet, which is nothing like I am now. But I think, we'd learned to keep ourselves to ourselves. We weren't always the best dressed kids.
Right.
In Sheffield during the kind of 70s and 80s, the local authority had like a scheme where really, really underprivileged kids would get issued with school uniform and kind of a whole range of clothes, which was just marvellous at the time, except we were one of the few sets of kids who went to a school without uniform. So we were the only kids wearing uniform, and you could tell who the poor youngsters were because of what they were wearing. Yes and no. I mean, I'm fairly sanguine about that kind of thing, simply because even if it was, I probably wouldn't have spotted it, or if I did, I would have given as good as I got. So no, I can't say really that did happen, but you certainly felt different.
Mm. So school a happy time, was it?
I enjoyed my studies. I liked learning.
So academically strong?
I think so. I mean, my GCSE results wouldn't, necessarily say that, but I was the first. O-levels,
were they O-levels or GCSEs?
They were GCSEs.
Oh, right,
I am not quite that old.
Sorry,
I think, to be fair, I think we were like the second year to do GCSEs at the time.
I was O-level, so that's why I said it.
So I was the first person in my family to, I think, even make it to that point and do an exam.
Right.
So it was quite a thing. And then I became, the first person to do A-levels and then the first person to go to university. And then until my own daughter went to university, I remained the first person in my family.
So going through school, did you know what you wanted to do? I mean, or from a young age, did you decide, you'd had some inspiration perhaps from your auntie that there was a life beyond the council estate?
I wanted to be an astronaut, and I still do.
Astronaut?
Yeah, I
did
still
not
maintain
expect you
it.
to say that.
Yeah, no, massive science fiction fan. It's the escapism.
Right.
So it's a different world. It's different ways of living. Oh, I wanted to be on a starship, just motoring through the galaxy, and I have not given up that ambition. Genuinely, I have not.
Maybe one day.
You never can tell. Mm-hmm. Maybe in retirement I'll build my own. But I had a telescope. So one of the biggest gifts I ever got given, and Mum must have had to save for this for so long, when I was about 11, I got a really small telescope so that I could look at the craters on the moon. I could see the rings around Saturn with that telescope very faintly, because it wasn't a powerful one at all. And I had all kinds of solar system books, and I loved it. Turns out, however, I was utterly terrible at maths. So I chose physics, biology and chemistry, A-level, after having failed my maths and having to resit at GCSE. Yeah. And, it turns out to be an astronaut, you really do need to be good at maths and physics. So sometimes you have to recalibrate your life.
So knowing that, did you decide to pursue a different... So you went to uni?
I did.
And then what did you... Was uni... It wasn't Sheffield, was it?
No, I went to the University of Teesside. Right. So I was up in Middlesbrough.
Okay.
And I did a Bachelor of Science in Criminology.
Criminology? Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I feel like crime's the family business. So if I wasn't going to partake directly, I may as well study it,
And was that interesting? Did you enjoy it?
I loved every minute of it.
Right, okay.
Absolutely adored it, and went on to do an MSc in Criminal Justice Studies as one of my master's degrees. Met my husband.
So you obviously loved education then?
Absolutely.
Because you did your GCSEs, your A-levels, and then went on.
I enjoyed it, but the reason I actually came into education was because of the teachers that I had on my way through that journey, because they made the difference to me. So when I went to school, I really easily could have been written off. And some teachers did, because I perhaps didn't speak. My accent was very broad and very common. It's not much better now, if I'm entirely honest, but it was very broad and very common, and I could have been written off so easily. And there were a number of teachers who took a real interest in making sure I could have a life that perhaps looked a lot different from the one that I was in.
Oh, gosh. So it's thanks to them.
It really is. It really is. And my view is you don't pull up the ladder. You actually put down the ladder.
Yeah.
So when you're in a position to make a difference, you take it.
So you met your husband when? Sorry, I interrupted
at university.
At uni, okay. And then were you going to pursue something along the criminology route, or?
Well, that's a really interesting one, because what do you do,
yeah,
really?
it's difficult to get into, isn't it?
I considered the police service, didn't think it was for me. Not because I don't respect the police, but because, having my shoes thrown up on down Rotherham on a Saturday night while I'm policing didn't appeal that much. And I thought about becoming an academic. I thought Professor Gray had quite a ring to it. Bit of X-Men,
Right.
But equally, no. And actually, I got a part-time job working at Dearne Valley College, which is just outside Rotherham, teaching public services. And I was teaching the criminology units on public services. And further education just got me. Instantly, it got me.
And forgive my ignorance, did you have to do a teaching qualification to do that then?
Not at the time.
Right.
Because and still today, you can do pre-service and in-service teaching qualifications. In further education, we're often not straight teachers. We're often dual professional, so we did a career before we came into education.
Right.
And so therefore you train while you're teaching rather than train before you start teaching, like often you do in schools. And I'd worked for my husband. My husband and I had an IT company.
Oh, right. Okay.
So we called it Farpoint, which is also a Star Trek episode. It's one of the first Star Trek episodes there is. And we did that for a couple of years.
So just let's pause then. So setting up your own business is a milestone. So was he already doing IT, or did he have...
Yeah, he's an IT specialist.
Right.
So while I was doing a BSc in criminology, he was doing a BSc in information technology.
Right. And was this the era, what era we're talking about IT-wise?
We're talking
pre-internet?
mid to late 90s. So
early
internet was absolutely there, but you used to have to dial it up and
on the modem.
Yeah.
I remember those days. So you set up your own business. Was it a joint partnership?
Was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
he
what
was the
your
talent,
role?
I was the administrator.
For which you need talent.
Well, you really do, especially when you're working with my husband. So, he was a contractor who ran his own IT services business, and I was responsible for everything else, you know, the tax filings, the really operational running of the business. Yeah. And to be honest, I wasn't that interested. It paid for our house deposit, for which I am interested. But it wasn't for me. That was his world.
Oh, right.
I wanted my own world.
Okay. So you tried that and then decided you wanted to go into education.
Yeah. Well, it's essentially going back into education, because I'd worked part-time in teaching while I was in Middlesbrough, kind of after finishing university, and primarily in adult education, and really loved it. And then when we moved back to Sheffield, and we set up the company, we did that, for a couple of years, and I missed it. I really missed it. I missed the interaction with the students. I missed sharing my knowledge. I missed being part of learning, and I wanted that back.
So this resulted in your job at was it Dearne College?
Dearne Valley College,
okay.
Public services lecturer.
What does public services lecturer teach?
So we public services lecturers are the people in colleges who train future fire officers, police officers, armed services members, paramedics. Essentially, if you wear a uniform for your job, prison officers, we're the crew who train.
That was quite interesting.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. Had a wonderful team at Durham Valley College, many of whom I keep in touch with now. And I was there for 12 years. I had all three of my children while I was at that college.
So 3 children?
Yes.
3 girls, is it?
No, a girl, a boy and a girl.
Okay. What are they doing? What careers are they pursuing?
So my oldest daughter is a HR professional and lives on her own now, has her own house and her own life. Super, super proud of her. She's got very, very good interior decorating taste, far better than mine. So every time I go to her house, I'm like, I want one of those. My son is in his 3rd year in York, doing PPE, politics, philosophy and economics, and is, I hope, working on his dissertation and finishing it off. And my youngest is 16 and this is her GCSE year. So
I've got a 16,
it's all go for revision.
Yeah, I can't wait for the mid-June when hers will all be over. I don't know about yours, but
same.
Not that I want to wish the spring away, but yeah. So Durham College for 12 years, did you say? Durham Valley College. Sorry, I keep forgetting the Valley. So what prompted your move to your next role?
Well, I'd watched for that 12 years. I knew I wanted to stay at Durham Valley for a while because I hadn't finished having my family, and it was a great college to have a family at. And I'd watched lots of people, primarily men, be promoted very quickly, knowing far less than I did in some respects. And so I knew if I was going to catch up on the promotions that I'd kind of missed while I was
having a family,
I knew I needed to kind of be on point. So I'd kind of done all of my prep work. I'd got 2 master's degrees by that point in the bag.
And had you done that in your own time then, the master's degrees, right?
Yeah. So I kind of typically started one while I was on maternity leave with a child and then kind of finished it, fingers crossed, by the time the next one came along. So I like to study, so it wasn't really
That's a massive undertaking though.
Yeah, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think if studying's a pleasure, it's not hard, is it?
No. Well, they say that about work. If you enjoy your work, it's not work.
This is true. And so by the time I'd had Jen in... Oh, she'll kill me if I don't get
Jen's
this right.
your eldest?
Jen's my youngest.
Oh, sorry.
By the time I'd had Jen in 2009... I'd kind of got all the pieces in place and I was simply waiting for the right role to come up in another college, and it came up while I was on maternity leave and I took it, and at that point I moved for a promotion to Chesterfield College as an assistant principal. I was an assistant principal there for about 11 months and was promoted again within that college and stayed there for around 3 years, and then moved to Grimsby Institute where I stayed for 9 years as deputy and then principal of Grimsby Institute.
And when you're a principal, are you also lecturing as well, or is it more management?
It's a mixture. You really try not to get involved operationally, and it's really hard. It's really hard. I've always made a point of never getting too close to the public services team in any college I'm in, because the temptation to meddle. Well, we used to do it like this. No, it's not. It's not our time anymore. It's their time. They need to run their show. So you've got to be really careful about it. The teaching that I do now tends to be more staff development, so I'll teach other teachers. I still absolutely can go into class. It's like riding a bike. You haven't forgotten I did 12 years.
And you must
years
miss
in a
it
class.
as well.
Oh, I do. Sometimes going back into a classroom, you kind of really remember why you do the job, and it's not to deal with, the DFE or the government or whatever happens to be happening in the region. It's because you loved your subject and you loved being with the students, and that's still the reason I go to work now.
Making a difference for them in the same way your teachers did with you.
That's absolutely it.
So it was while you were at Grimsby that you were first honoured, because you've been subsequently honoured, with your MBE in 2020,
that's right.
Am I right?
COVID year.
So talk to us about that. Did it come as a surprise?
It really did, and I didn't think it was real, because at the time, the Cabinet Office, I think that's the office that issues them, they weren't sending out any actual mail because it was COVID.
Right.
And so it came through on email, so I thought, well, that's a scam.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I completely ignored it. And then I got another one and I thought, maybe I just best call them. So I called the Cabinet Office and said, is this real? And they said it was, and then I needed to sit down and a cup of tea. because I'd been ignored. I'm like, I'm being scammed. This is crazy.
Good job you did call
it
to
was
verify
a good job,
it.
isn't it? Otherwise, they would have probably just, not given it me. And I remember you can't tell anyone.
And the MBE was for what?
Services to education.
Right.
So you can't tell anyone, so I didn't tell anyone. And then, of course, I get a call from my director of marketing kind of 24 hours before saying, Deb, have you been given an MBE? Because I've just had a media inquiry, because media get released 24 hours before. And I'm like,
really hadn't told anybody?
I hadn't told my family. I hadn't told my husband, hadn't told the kids.
I can't believe you hadn't told your husband. Yeah. Yeah. Gosh.
So yeah, that was interesting. And when I told my family, they genuinely said, "What's an MBE?"
Yeah.
Because that wasn't really part of our world.
Yeah.
So I needed to explain it.
They must have been incredibly proud.
Well, my mum was a pragmatist by nature, and her strongest praise for anything was, "We're all right. We're all right." That. And I think I got, which is mum's highest praise for anything, really, that any of the kids did. So, yeah.
And did you get to go and collect it with it being COVID?
I didn't. I chose not to go and collect it for a number of reasons. So once kind of COVID was all over and they'd managed to work through all of the rescheduled, because of course it wasn't just my ceremony that was delayed, there'd been a whole range of ceremonies that had been delayed. By that point, I was kind of, my mum had become ill and I just wasn't feeling it, if I'm entirely honest.
Right.
And, if you can't take your mum with you, what's the point?
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. But you get to...
Well, I got another bite of the cherry, didn't I?
Say, luckily for you, another one comes along a few years later. So we'll come back to that. So this was while you were at Grimsby, and then the opportunity came along for Hull College. So talk to us about that.
Yes. Well, there'd been a number of senior management churns at Hull, and I'd kind of watched that from Grimsby, having a great time at Grimsby. Absolutely adore that college and adore the town as well.
And you were still living in Sheffield?
I was still living in Sheffield, still commuting.
Yeah.
And looked over the Humber, metaphorically, and thought, well, I hope they get somebody really good there, because that could be an absolute powerhouse, that college. The city's amazing and the city's on the up, and it's a real shame, actually, the fact they haven't managed to find anybody stable there. Never for one second thinking it'd be me. And then my CEO decided to retire. Jill Alton, who was a titan in further education. And I would have been happy to work for her, quite frankly, till retirement. If she'd have stayed, I'd have stayed. But, she had plans for her retirement, which I hope to emulate in a few years. And he's now kind of globe-trotting and doing all kinds of wonderful things. And I thought, well, do you know what? I've done as much as I can now in this college, because, it was a Ofsted Grade 1. We'd won the Queen's Anniversary Prize. We were multi-award winning. Kind of what do you do? And you've got to be careful, I think, as a senior leader. You don't break your own work. At what point does somebody else need to come in and do something else?
Get out while
college?
You're ahead.
Yeah, kind of. But, after 8 or 9 years, maybe sometimes it's time for a change. And Hull was out at the time. So I put an application in, was interviewed and appointed.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that was, how many years have you been there now?
4 years ago. It's almost 4 years to the week.
Yes. And how are you finding it?
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. I have the most amazing team. The college is fabulous and the city's brilliant. I mean, this region, I cannot abide it when people talk down this region. Not being from here, maybe I see it with a bit more independence, but the Humber is an absolute powerhouse. If we can do for ourselves what kind of Liverpool and Manchester have done, we will be unbeatable. And
congratulations on what you've achieved at the college, because you've really transformed it, turned it around, haven't you?
Team effort. This is not about
you
me.
And your team.
Team effort.
But the team needs a leader, which was recognised in this last New Year's honours list, because you got the CBE. I had to remember which way around it was then.
Yeah, CBE.
And that was for?
Services to Education.
So you can actually get it for the same...
So new.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
well,
clearly,
the thing is, that's all I do, right? It's not like they could give it to me for services to music, because I'm a terrible singer.
But CBE is obviously a higher accolade or an honour than the...
It jumps the OBE.
Yes.
And goes, so the next one is Dame.
Yes.
My view is nobody's going to make me a panto Dame.
Yeah. It's got a ring to it.
I prefer doctor, so I'm working on my doctorate at the moment. So it'll be
for
doctor.
real?
Yeah.
Right,
No, I'm
okay.
due to submit in the next. Well, but the fair winds the next 2 months.
You really do like studying.
I do like to study.
Yeah, wow. You're hopefully a big inspiration to your girls, and your son, who are studying, certainly the two young ones. It's not rubbed off.
I think probably the fact I sit cursing at my desk with my head in my hands has probably put them off quite substantially. I hope they will. I'd be incredibly proud if they did, but they've got to find their own way.
Yeah.
And just
And
because I
different.
like something doesn't mean they should like something.
No, that's true. And I know I've got two daughters, and they're both very, very different and different to me. So, so what does a typical day look like for you as the chief exec and principal of the college?
So I'm up at 5, out for 6, in work for 7:30. And with the opening of the A63 now, it genuinely is 7:30 rather than like knocking on the door of 8 because of the traffic. So that's really nice. I then will spend the first hour or so picking up what's come in the night before. I get about like 600 emails a day, and I'd like to clear all of them. I like to try and be really meticulous about it. And then typically from about 8:30, I'm in meetings, or I'm walking the floors, or I'm meeting external people. I try as much as I can to speak to as many students as I can while I'm walking the floors. I want to make sure I'm visible. I don't think I always succeed. It's a big college, and I feel far too often I'm pinned in meetings, and it's something that I think that as a culture we need to work on a little bit more. But we've still got kind of lots of core business to get through for the college. So, working with our partners, working with the MCA, working with the local authorities, it keeps you busy.
When you say partners, do you mean businesses?
Businesses, third sector. We work with around 1,000 businesses a year, everything from sole traders to Siemens, and everything in between. So there's always something that needs attention.
And you've clearly had great success in your career in education. What do you think you're particularly good at?
I think I appoint people who are better than I am. I think that's a really good managerial skill, and then I let them crack on. I don't like to micromanage, and I don't think I should have to, because if you appoint good people, you appoint them for a reason. If I'm appointing someone and I've got to do the job, what have I appointed them for? So I hope I'm good at spotting talent and promoting talent. A lot of the people who've worked with me have gone on to be principals in their own right. I'm utterly delighted for them, because they then get to go and make a difference in areas in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
And I think I'm fairly analytical at work. So I feel very passionate and emotional about what we do, but not about how we do it.
So explain.
So I will get up on any stage anywhere in the country, and I will advocate for my sector, my city, my communities, and I will do that without fear and without favour. When I look at a problem that we've got in the college, it's analysis. What does the data show? What does the evidence show? What can we prove? What can't we prove? What do we need to pilot? What don't we need to pilot? And it's very crisp, and it's very clean, and it's very precise, which means when we try something, it usually works.
And what do you think the biggest challenge is for the college, or for you professionally, I mean, at the moment?
The challenge for our sector, and it's not unique to our college, is funding. We are a massively underfunded sector. So the gap between what we can pay our teaching staff and what school teachers are paid has never been wider. And it's well over £10,000 difference. So you have to ask yourself the question, what kind of government allows that to happen? We in this country speak a really, really good game about skills. The government has skills on every agenda. Well, then pay for it.
And you said earlier about recruiting the best people. Do you struggle to recruit talent in the area?
We absolutely do. And particularly in areas where the Humber is strong. So you look at engineering, you look at manufacturing, and people can typically earn more on the tools in businesses than they can teaching the next generation. What can we do about that? We try and manage it with retention bonuses, with market weighting where we can. But ultimately, we are not funded at the rates we need to be funded to deliver the workforce of the future. And every college is facing the same challenge.
You're clearly very passionate about the role of education and how it can transform lives. What is there anything keeping you awake at night? You talked about the funding. Is that clearly it's a massive issue, but you personally can't influence that.
Well,
Well, you can influence it, but you can't change it, maybe.
Well, you can advocate for it. So I gave evidence quite recently at a parliamentary committee on adult education, because adult funding is particularly low,
right.
and replacement labour can't just come from young people. People need to retrain and upskill as well. In terms of keeping me awake at night, it's rarely the money. The money will be what the money is. I worry more about, are we failing anyone? Are we missing anyone? Is anybody disadvantaged?
As a college, as your specific
college.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really funny thing, because we celebrate an awful lot of really high-thinking academics, Einstein, you name it. The brightest minds in the world never got the chance and are sitting somewhere on a council estate somewhere. Are we missing them? How do we get to them? How do we bring them back in?
How do we find them?
How do we find them? How do we nurture them? When we've got them, are we doing the right thing by them? Because if someone hadn't done that for me, I wouldn't be in this position now. I certainly wouldn't have been at the Palace picking up a CBE. So who in the future is going to get a CBE, and what can I do to enable that? Is the ladder firmly down in the right communities for them to climb up? What do we need to do better? What do we need to do more of? I'm sure I drive my team absolutely insane, because it's never good enough. It never will be, because until every single learner, every single community is served to the way we need it to be served, it won't be right. And I won't rest until it is.
Oh, it's giving me goosebumps. Looking back over your career, is there anything you would do differently now with the benefit of hindsight, or anything you regret?
I try never to have regrets. I think they're pointless, because what can you do other than feel sad about it? What you can do is learn from it, and I like to learn. So I don't think I've got any major regrets. And I think when I look back on the things that I'm disappointed by, I learned valuable lessons that I carry with me to this day, so I can't even regret that.
So can you give us an example?
No, I don't think I can, if I'm honest. There are things that we mess up in our careers all the time. I messed up yesterday, I'll mess up today. Life's full of kind of, should I have done it this way, should I have done it that way? But I genuinely, professionally don't give that any credence, other than what can I learn from it and what can I apply to the next situation, and then I'm on to the next situation. So it's not often I look back, which is, I suppose, maybe something I ought to consider. I'm too busy looking at the horizon. That's
a really good quality, though, because I think I do look back too much, I think.
I'm a pragmatist by nature. What can we do to fix this situation? And if we can do something, let's do it.
Yeah.
And if we can't, let's move on to a situation we can do something about.
Yeah.
So I'm not very angsty, if that makes sense.
Yeah. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would that be?
I think I wish I'd have had the insight to develop patience earlier. I mean, I think it's like kind of wishing I didn't have ginger hair, because it's a part of my nature. But I used to be really, really impatient, obnoxiously so, I think, sometimes, when things weren't moving as fast as I thought they ought to move. Because culturally, you can only move as fast as an organisation is ready to. And when I was a junior manager in particular, I'm not interested in the organisational culture. I'm interested in the students in front of me. And if it's not right for them, why aren't we fixing it? Why aren't we fixing it? And so I think I was quite an obnoxious junior manager to some of my senior managers at times, and potentially to some colleagues as well. Because if it's not right, let's make it right. And why are we wasting time? And why are you messing about? And why are we debating this? Why am I sitting in another meeting talking about the same rubbish we've just been talking about? Why is it not fixed? So you can kind of imagine how well that went down sometimes. And I remember a principal of mine back in the day saying to me, if you want to be a principal, Deb, and I didn't at the time, I had no ambition to be a principal at all. She said, you need to walk differently and you need to talk differently. And I thought about that. I really did. And then I ignored it, and I was promoted anyway, because I don't think being honest and being direct is a failing. I think you have to do it with kindness, and it has to come from the right place. But if you are not honest and you are not direct, it's not your life you're messing up. It's a student's life.
So would you say you're still impatient now, or you just manage it differently?
I manage it differently. It manifests differently. It's still absolutely there. Because if we haven't got something right for our students, why haven't we got it right for our students? Because sometimes we are the best place for our young people with a first and best chance at their technical career. For some people with their second chance, it's an opportunity to come back, to upskill and to retrain. And for some people, we are their last chance at a future. And I will not mess that up for them. And I expect that same commitment from everybody who works at Hull College. And what I will say is the staff team are incredible. Incredible. The storms they've weathered through some really difficult times at that college. And when I arrived in 2022, they had every right to roll their eyes at me because, you know, no one else had stayed. And I, you know, some of them I'm certain were saying, yeah, let's give her 6 months, see if she makes it. And I told them from day one, I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere. And they have been and continue to be magnificent every day. So everybody from our cleaners to our front of house staff to our lecturing staff to our support teams, every day they come in and they give their best selves to make sure that Hull College and its students and our communities can thrive and prosper.
And that's all being led by you. So you should.
It's being led by every one of them. Every one of them. This is not me. This is my team who are incredible.
You talked earlier about the colleague who gave, was she a manager who gave you the advice which you ignored. What is the best advice you have had in your career?
That's a really good question. That is a really good question. I think it was do it. Think you can do better, do it.
Was that anyone in particular?
That was one of my first line managers. So I was just a lecturer at the time, and I was complaining.
Was it Dearne Valley?
It was at Dearne Valley. It was at Dearne Valley. And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, do you know what? If you can do better, do it." So I did.
And you did it better?
I did. And that's kind of been my view all the way along. It's kind of how you know whether you're ready to move on or not. When you look at the next tier and you think, do you know, I can do that better. Well, go on then.
Then you're ready
Crack
to move.
On.
Yeah.
Go for it. And I was lucky that my manager at the time said it with absolute sincerity. Crack on then. And didn't micromanage me, didn't, just, if you think you can do a better job, you go do that better job. And this was just a job within my department, within my team. But I think what it taught me is give it a go. Why are you angsty about this? Opportunity comes up. If you're not saying yes, why are you not saying yes?
Are you someone who would say yes to all opportunities?
Usually do.
Yeah.
Much to my PA's disgust, because she has to diarise it all. Have you agreed to do this, Deb? Yeah, sorry.
When are you going to find the time?
Sorry, Penny.
Yeah. Who do you think's had the biggest influence then? Was it the person who said to you, just do it?
No, it was my mum.
It was your mum?
It was my mum. Watching what she went through as a single parent taught me a really hard lesson about independence. Never be reliant on anyone else for your income or for your well-being or for the well-being of your children. But she also taught me that it doesn't matter how bad things get. You put one foot in front of the other and you keep walking.
Keep going.
You just keep walking. Because nothing lasts forever. Good times don't last forever, and nor do the bad.
Yeah. And sometimes things aren't as good or as bad as you think they are, I think.
Yeah, perspective's a really important skill to have, because if you can't see the wood for the trees, you melt down as a leader. And the problem is everybody takes their cue from you. So you can't afford a meltdown. You have to keep a sense of perspective while other people are losing theirs. Yes,
which I know you keep acknowledging the strength of your team, but they are getting their cue from you.
And I'm also taking my cue from them.
You will not take the
I will not, because everything you do as a leader is about the team of people you work with. When it goes wrong, that's absolutely on me. When it goes right, it's theirs. It's their success. And my job is to elevate them to the best possible degree I can. Whoever that is, anywhere in the organisation, if they've had a success, I want to celebrate it. And if there's been a failure, that's my failure. Because ultimately everything stops at my desk. Yeah.
So so when you rocked up at Hull College, you said you're staying.
I did. First, I had everybody down at the Jubilee Centre in town.
Yeah.
And I gave kind of my first State of the Nation address. I don't know what else to call it. And I said, guess what? I'm stopping.
So that was in 22.
April 22.
Okay, so 4 years on. The obvious question is, I won't ask you how long you're going to stay, but what's the future hold for you personally? What, are you... Clearly, you want to get on a spaceship one day.
I do. So quite frankly, if aliens land in Hull tomorrow, I'll be like, see ya.
So what do you want to do?
Well, I want to get my doctorate.
Yep.
So that's the first kind of step I want to do. I'm considering a third master's in AI. So I might pick that up when I finish the doctorate. But I'm like, do I need a year? Do I not need a year gap? I don't know. I want to support my son to go to China, because after he graduates, he wants to go to China and do a little tour around China. So I'm kind of thinking, well, that'll be me booking all of that then. Right. Professionally, I'm happy where I am. Yeah. I love Hull College. I love Hull the city. I love the region. I've worked in the region for 12 years. There is no finer region in the country. I've got no plans to move on. And for the next 3 years, the plan is to keep refining and iterating what we do at the college. So we're best in the country, and then we're best in the world.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my next question. What's the plan for the college? So best in the world.
Best in the world.
At what? What do you want Hull College to be known for?
I want us to be known for our work on inclusion. Hull is a very diverse city, and it's a city that suffers from huge economic deprivation. And I want the next Prime Minister to be from Hull. I want the FTSE 500 chairmen, chairwomen and CEOs to be from Hull. I think our students are fighters, they are bright, they are powerful. So you train them and you put them in the right places and they change the world.
Do you think there's a role to play in building belief?
Yes, I absolutely do.
Because do you not think there's a lot of self-limiting belief in the area?
Yes and no. It depends who you speak to. It really does. And, being from Sheffield, it's a really proud city, actually. Nobody talks Sheffield down, really. People do talk Hull down, and I stop it the minute I hear it. But I don't know it's about belief. I really don't. I think it's about the civic architecture of which I'm a part, doing what it needs to do to elevate the city. And I know the MCA, the local authorities, the university, the NHS, the police, the fire service, we all want the same thing. We want a city that thrives. We are Yorkshire's only maritime city. We've got more history than York. Sorry, York, if anybody's listening to this. But we've got an old town that will rival anything York's got. With a gateway to Europe, we've got the Deep, we've got the Maritime Museum. We need to do for ourselves what Liverpool did for itself.
But do you think we have the leadership in place to do that?
We've got the leadership in place that people have elected, which means it's what people want.
So we talked about what Hull College you'd like Hull College to be famous for. What would you like your legacy to be when you do finally hang up your college boots at Hull?
I don't want a legacy. I'm not really interested in a legacy. I go to work and I do the job for the students I've got at the time. And when I hang up my boots, I plan to just go and have a really nice, quiet life, pottering around the garden, travelling a bit, might write a few books. Legacy is not something that particularly appeals to me, if I'm honest. I'm more interested in what I'm doing right now than how I'll be remembered. I don't really care how people remember me. What I care about is, did we do a good job in the moment?
Well, you clearly are doing a fantastic job. Congratulations again. And as I said earlier, that was recognised earlier this year in the New Year's Honours List. So please tell me you went and collected your CD.
Oh, I did. I went for this one. Yeah.
And you met the King?
No, it was the Princess Royal.
Oh, the Princess Royal. And where did you go to?
Windsor.
Right. And who joined you on that trip?
Well, the kids had to draw straws.
Oh, because you can only have one.
You can have 3 guests. Oh. But of course, I've got a husband and 3 children.
Oh, no, so you had to leave one behind.
Well, I could have left the husband.
Yeah.
But who was going to do the driving? So the kids drew straws and my oldest drew the short straw. So what she gets automatically, she gets to come to my doctoral graduation instead, which, to be fair, she said she prefers. They bought a suit. Well, I bought a suit, they didn't. And a dress for my daughter. We had to play around with fascinators, which, my first fascinator, I'm 53 years old, never worn a fascinator before. Hope to never have to wear one again.
Yeah.
We bounced down for the day.
And you enjoyed it?
It was all right. It was a nice sunny day.
You just like
We're
your
all
mum.
right, like my mum.
We're just so pragmatic.
It was all right. Yeah, it was a nice day.
Yeah.
No complaints from me.
Well, duly deserved recognition for everything you've done. And again, congratulations on your career to date. I'm sure you'll go on to bigger and better things, and maybe a third honour at one point in the future.
As I said, if it is, it will be Panto Dame.
Thank you for your time this morning. It's been fascinating hearing your story, and it's clear that you're very passionate, not only about the role you play at the college with your team, but also the difference you can make to your students and to the community as a whole. So thank you for everything you're doing for us all in the area. Before you go, I have a question that was left by our previous guest who didn't know who he was leaving it for. And it's a very random question. We've never had one like this. If you had to spend 10 minutes in a room full of spiders, would you rather the lights were on or off?
No, just point blank
No, you've got to answer the question.
Arachnophobic. No, just a plain no.
So we have found
you would literally have to tie me down, and then it wouldn't make a difference whether the lights were on or the lights were off. Under no circumstances am I even going in a building where that room is.
Oh, really?
Absolutely
not. So what do you do if there's a spider in the room, like if there's one in the studio?
Why do you think I have a husband?
Oh, you wouldn't kill it. You'd put it outside.
I do not ask. So ask no questions, tell no lies, deal with it.
Where's that phobia come from?
Where do any phobias come from? But I've had it since I was a child. Will not entertain it. No. Of all the questions I could have been asked.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances is that happening.
Interesting. What would you guys do? Lights on or off? Off. Emma says off.
On.
Oh.
Fred wants to see them.
No.
Right. Okay. Well, our time's up today, but thank you again for joining us, Deborah.
Very welcome.
It's been a pleasure. Been a pleasure for me too. So that's it for this month, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next month with our next guest. If you would like to, suggest someone who you'd like us to interview, please do let us know. And until next month, it's bye-bye from me. Bye-bye.